Chris Lee and Blake Lovell here to talk about SEC basketball games on Saturday, February 26th. We will go in order of tip-off. First one is Georgia at noon Eastern will host Florida, which is a 7-point favorite according to Ken Pom. Must win for Florida. Georgia's just been awful lately. Starting to have a look of a team. You hate to say mailed it in, but certainly it's not an optimal situation. And you start to wonder when you have off-court things the way Georgia's had. We're not going to spend a lot of time here, Blake, but I think Florida goes to Georgia and wins pretty easily.
Yep, picking Florida. Not a lot to say about this one. As you said, Georgia's what Georgia is at this point. They're a one-win team in the SEC. Florida, I guess I trust them enough to go in and take care of business here, knowing what's at stake. I guess you never know, but I did kind of tease that I could see perhaps an upset here. I don't think that happens. Colin Castleton's been really good lately, and I just think that, again, Georgia doesn't really have anything to play for at this point. I just think Castleton's the difference here. Expect Cario Quindo to score 30 points again probably, because that just seems to be the case now for Georgia. But yes, I think we're all going to pick Florida in this scenario. If Florida doesn't win this game, then it's just like, I don't even know what you say. But I think the chances of that are pretty low. So, yeah, I'm obviously taking Florida here.
Mississippi State is back in its happy place in Starkville. State is about a 5-point favorite. They got a little smile. About a 5-point favorite, facing a Vandy team, which has not been bad on the road. I mean, has beaten Arkansas and played some other teams close. To me, this is about how interested is State, because I think that ship has sailed for the NCAA tournament. You got a coach who may be out of a job at season's end. They were not very good at South Carolina. Again, been better in that building, but we're getting towards the end of the season where, barring a large winning streak, State's not going to have a lot to play for. What do you think here?
Yeah, that's my issue with Mississippi State, I think, in this one, is I don't really know what you're going to get. I think we talked about Vanderbilt's NCAA tournament scenario took a hit losing to Alabama, but as we mentioned in that video, I still think that's a team that you're always going to get their best. And, I mean, as we talked about as well, outside of that Florida game on the road for Vanderbilt, they've been right there in every other game they've played in. I mean, honestly, like, again, minus the Kentucky game at home, but on the road, like they've been in every other game. Even the Auburn game we talked about was a little bit deceiving just based off of that. I have no idea what to expect from Mississippi State here. And it's just like, because of that, I know what I should pick here, because Mississippi State has just simply been, they've been better at home. We know that. That's our theme all year. They've been bad on the road, good at home. So I think I'll pick them, but there is a part of me that wants to pick Vanderbilt, because I just think that, like you said, there is a scenario here where I don't know what the motivation is for Mississippi State at this point. They just completely did nothing at South Carolina. But because the trend that they have been better at home, I will pick them to win this game. But let me just preface it by saying, don't be shocked at all if Vanderbilt wins this game. So if you're betting, bet according to that, because I think there is an absolute possibility Vanderbilt could win. I also think there's a scenario where maybe Mississippi State isn't completely done yet, and they have some size and some of the things athletically we've talked about with Vanderbilt. Mississippi State's still a very athletic team, especially on the perimeter. And you just got a lot of sort of lengthy athletic guys that maybe offer a little bit of trouble. So, yeah, I'll pick Mississippi State, but I think this is a much closer game maybe than we would expect.
Yeah, I think Molinar is going to be a problem for them, but State just hadn't played very well. Okay, here's one of the two big ones of the day. Kentucky is a 3-point favorite on Ken Pom going to Arkansas. Those first two games, by the way, Florida, Georgia tips off at 1 Eastern. Vandy State is at noon Central. Florida is at noon Eastern. Vandy is at noon Central. All right, I got it. Kentucky is tipping off at 1 Central in Fayetteville, where the Hogs have won, 13 of 14 games? this year. Their last 14, start 0-3 in the SEC. Two huge games in the SEC. This one, I think, is going to be a classic, just like Arkansas. Now, I don't know that I'll call it a classic. That was kind of ugly when Arkansas and Tennessee played a week ago, but should be a great game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, if you thought the atmosphere was good for the Auburn game, just wait, because this one's going to be even better, maybe. I know school record for attendance in that one. I think this one is going to be, it's Arkansas and Kentucky, man. Like, these are the two teams we know going back to the 90s. We remember all the big games and the rivalries and everything, and this is another one. It's just a huge game. I mean, it really is. And man, I look at these two teams, and I said it before, and I know maybe Auburn fans have something to pick at with this, but I still think when you look at it overall, I think Arkansas and Kentucky have played as well as anyone over the past month. And like I said, Auburn's right there, but we've talked about, the quote unquote issues on the road, but it's more about how they played, not that they haven't won. It's just how they played. So, I mean, to me, like, how many times have we done this now in a row where it's like, well, we don't know if Ty Washington's going to play.
And
I mean,
Wheeler, and I know, and it
know,
hasn't mattered, but this feels like the time it matters, right?
This is different because they're on the road, and this is not at home. This is not in Rupp. This is at Bud Walton, right? And I made the joke yesterday, and I know Arkansas fans enjoyed it. Like, the Must Bus gassed up.
They loved that.
I mean, it's just, come on. It is gassed up right now, and we saw the atmosphere for the Auburn game. And I just think that Arkansas is the kind of team – I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. Like, defensively, they're still a team that we talked about it. They can cause disruption in the backcourt because they have J.D. Note and Davis, right? And we talk about the quickness and the steals and those kind of things that those guys can do, and sort of they're just disruptive. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, they can really take you out of the flow of your offense and how you want to play. And on the flip side of that, they're also a team that we're starting to see offensively has that next gear. Like, they have a gear that they can go to and really, take it to that next level. And I've said this before about Arkansas. One of the things I've been most impressed with Arkansas is not just beating the good teams, but it's beating some of the bad teams the way they should beat them. Yeah. And Kentucky's not a bad team. Yeah, and
which was not there the first 2 months, but it is now.
They did go on the road and beat Georgia the way they should have beat them, by 26. They did go on the road and beat Missouri by 19. Again, I'm not comparing those teams to Kentucky, but they have consistently been as good. They are 1 point away from, as we said, riding a month-and-a-half-long winning streak right now. They're coming back home. They're playing in Bud Walton. And here's the stat that I'm going to go to for this, because I think this is very important. Ken Pom, home winning percentage in college basketball this season by conference. The SEC, the home teams have won 63.8% of the games. That is number one in the country. So, among conferences, no other conference has the home team had the advantage more so than in the SEC. I am going to pick Arkansas here. One of the big reasons I'm picking Arkansas is not just because of how they're playing, but I am picking this with the anticipation that Ty Washington and Severe Wheeler do not play.
And let me insert something here.
Yeah.
Even if they do play, I think you have the concern they get hurt again. And Washington, I didn't see Wheeler, but Washington was in street clothes on the bench the other night, which was not a good sign to me. Sometimes, like, you hope he's dressed in warm-ups and they go through it and see how it looks. I think it's that, and like, he just keeps getting hurt, right? So, like, even if they have him, you have to wonder, does something get aggravated when they play?
I've said this before, too, and Kentucky, I think Kentucky is national championship good, and everyone who's watched them play knows that. But I think they're only national, and I know people will look at these last two games and say, well, they can still win the national championship without Ty Washington and Severe Wheeler. I don't think so. I think that this was a scenario.
You got to get them healthy.
Yes, and that's my point is, you don't have to play them in this game against Arkansas, because this isn't about the final 3 games of the regular season. This is about the next possibly 9 games after that, right? It's way more about their 10 games, whatever it would be. That is what it's about. So if Kentucky's hesitant here and says, man, we know this is a big game, and we know that basically the SEC title is kind of on the line in this game for Kentucky when you really think about it. Like if they want to stay, they really need to win this one because otherwise, you know what happens. They drop to 4 losses. Arkansas stays at 4 losses. Arkansas would have the advantage in the tiebreaker scenario. So you drop below that there. But I think Kentucky's got a lot of regular season titles. They're not exactly, if they don't get another one, like, okay, it's still all about the national championship. And I think if those two guys do not play, which as of right now, I know Calipari said after the game last night, he's not sure if those guys are going to play. But as we always say with college games, you won't know probably until game time. So there's no way for us to break it down that way because we just don't know. Even if they do play, I don't know what percentage that looks like, and we said that about Washington last time when he came back. So I'm going to pick Arkansas. Like I mentioned, it has a lot to do with the home court advantage sort of stat and those kind of things. But Kentucky has been more impressive than I thought these last 2 games. And if they were to go into Bud Walton and win this game without those 2 guys, I don't know, man. It's just like, I don't know what to say at that point. Like this team would just be, maybe it is. Maybe it's the Collins or the Hopkins or the Mintz game. Like one of these guys just step up and just go off huge here. We'll see. But I'll tell you the matchup I'm looking forward to most.
I'm going to say, you're going to say what I was going to say. Yep.
You know what it's going to be. Jalen Williams and Oscar Tshiebwe is going to be a lot of fun. I just think that is one where let's be honest. Like Jalen Williams has done a decent job at this, but there have been some games we've said like he has, a little foul trouble, not much though. And this is one where I think they have to have him on. Like this, they cannot afford to have Jalen Williams off the floor because I don't know what they do against Oscar Tshiebwe. If Tshiebwe's playing, 38 minutes against LSU, if Tshiebwe's on the floor for 38 minutes, Jalen Williams better be on the floor for 30.
Yeah, they may have to wipe the dust off Connor Vanover in that case.
Well, I was going to say, like, you got to have someone in there. So that is an X factor to keep an eye on there. That could be a big part of this game is if either one of those guys get in foul trouble, which we have seen before with Jalen Williams, and I think it's just a matter of, the opponent too certainly plays into that. But that's going to be very important for Arkansas to win this game. It's not just about the guard play. They got to have Jalen Williams on the floor for a life. If Jalen Williams plays 35 or more minutes, I think Arkansas wins. So,
what kind of gas are they putting in the Must Bus these days?
Well, I think the regular unleaded is what I heard, but I feel like Must is more of a premium unleaded type
maybe
guy.
Jet fuel.
Maybe just put some diesel in there. I don't know, but we'll talk to him in the off season and see what he says about that. We're just gonna let him keep driving the bus right now, like Kramer. But we'll see. So, listen, this is one of the most. I'm glad this is the CBS game, and that's nothing against Auburn and Tennessee. We'll get to in a second, but this just feels right for these two teams where they're at right now to be this, the CBS national game here. Just I'm really looking forward to this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I know no matter who you pick, someone's not going to be happy. But Arkansas fans, Kentucky fans, we love you both. But, hey, whoever wins here, your team is going to be
feeling really
sitting
good.
Pretty. Yes. Yeah. Whoever wins this game, you are going to feel great going into the final week of the season.
Yeah, I would argue Kentucky should be feeling good either way.
Oh yeah,
this is meaningless for Kentucky. Like
as long as you get those guys back,
just get your guys healthy. Okay, Let's see if I can do this without screwing up times again. That was a pretty spectacular failure.
This one's going to take place at 8 p.m. Antarctica time.
Right.
You can translate that to Chicago time and then back to the Mountain time zone.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Ole Miss plays in Central Time, which means it will be tipping off at 2:30 against A&M.
That means they will tip at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're Pacific, that's going to be 1:30 Pacific.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Anyway, I'm not sure how many people are going to be watching either way, but Ole Miss about a 2-point favorite against Texas A&M. God help you with this one.
Yeah, this is like – I guess, too, like we don't know the injury situation. Well, we haven't known all season, really, the injury situation for Ole Miss, but I think it's important in a game like this one especially. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't have a feel on this one way or the other, to be honest with you. I don't.
Ole Miss, probably I'd like to know if Matt Morrell plays.
Yeah, I think if he doesn't play, I'd pick A&M. If he does play, I think I'd pick Ole Miss. So there you go. I don't have a lot to add on this one because you are talking about two teams that have just one's been decimated by injuries, one's been like just so inconsistent, sort of in the final stretches of games, and has seemingly, unfortunately, found ways to lose more than win. And so let's just use that caveat. I'll take Ole Miss if he plays and he's at full strength, which I assume that's probably tough. I'll take A&M if not. I know that's fence sitting, but this is not a game. I just think that it's I don't want to say it's a meaningless game, but it's kind of one of those that these two teams are where they are because they've just been inconsistent for various reasons, as we've said. But yeah, I'll defer to the home team on this one, I guess.
Okay, Auburn goes to Knoxville, tip-off for Eastern. Tennessee about a 3-point favorite on Ken Palm. This one to me is fascinating. You got the guards match up. Just guard quickness will be on display in this game. I don't know, though, if Tennessee has the guys to match up with Smith and Kessler, and that's my concern for the Vols. That said, Tennessee has been great wherever it has played. It has been really good in its building, as Kentucky found out. So I don't discount the fact that the Vols could win this one. But I just think those two bigs to me with Kumwa have done for the year. Although Tennessee's had some time to adjust without him and has done fine. I wonder if this is the place where it catches up with them.
Man, this is another one where it's like, do I revert to the home stat? Because Tennessee, as we talked about, right? There are three teams in the SEC that are unbeaten at home. Here's two of them in this game, but one of them happens to be at home, right? Like Tennessee happens to be the home team. I think there's something to that when you just have proven time and time again that they just played really well at home. I mean, look what they did to Kentucky. Look at some of these other games. They played really well in that building. And we talk about atmosphere. Anytime Bruce comes to town, the atmosphere is going to be rocking. It's going to be that way. So that is something else. But we also know too that
here you go.
Auburn's kind of had Tennessee's number, if you think about it, right? I mean, let's be honest here.
That's not where I thought you were going.
Well, but I mean, let's look back at the numbers. Like, yeah. I mean, in recent years, like they've kind of been in a pretty good spot against Tennessee. What is the number now? I wish I would have pulled it up beforehand, but it's a pretty interesting number. Now the number is. Gosh, I'm gonna let you talk in a second because I need to find what the winning streak is or however many games.
Well, while you look that up,
there you go. I'm gonna find
this. Is where I thought you were gonna go. We talked a lot about Auburn at home and Auburn away from home. Where Auburn is what now 7-2 away from home, almost lost to Georgia, almost lost to Missouri. But I look down the schedule, and I think this is a better way to put it. I think Auburn plays to the level of its opponent on the road. I think that's the most fair way to put it as I look at it and think about Auburn's season.
Auburn has now won 6 in a row against Tennessee.
Ooh.
So I look at that.
And that includes last year when Auburn wasn't very good, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've played 6 times in a row, so yes, they would have won last year.
I mean, unless I wondered if a game might have been canceled, but anyway. 2
of those games are road games. We know the other one we were watching, the SEC tournament game. But yeah, I mean, I think that's hard to ignore too. It's just the fact that they have kind of Bruce Pearl has kind of had Rick Barnes' number in recent years. And so that is something else that I would look at. I'll be honest with you. I'm having a harder time with this one than I did Arkansas, Kentucky, and whether I'm going to be right or wrong. I anticipate being wrong on one of these two. I just don't know which one it's going to be. Maybe I'm wrong on both of them, but I do wonder about like the Kamwa thing. If he's playing in this game, is that a little bit different because of the matchups and Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler and you just got one other guy. But this is also a game, too, where it's like John Fulkerson's a very experienced player. Like, he is a very, he's been around there a while. And so he also understands, I think, what it takes to win games like this. So, oh, my gosh, man.
This is, if I'm Rick Barnes, I'm taking to the hole pretty much out of the gate in this game. And I know that's challenging Auburn where it is strong. and you can get your shot swatted back in your face by Walker Kessler in a hurry, but
Yeah.
you can also potentially get him in foul trouble, and if you do, that changes the game a lot. And so I think a lot of this is going to be like, where does the early whistle go? Do you get 2 quick ones on Kessler? Does that take him out of the game for 10 minutes? That's a big thing in this one to me, Blake.
Whose guards do you trust more right now?
Tennessee's, I think.
That's kind of my thinking is like.
And that's not that Auburn's are bad. Auburn's are really good. I just think Tennessee's a little more consistent, and it's the setting.
Yes, I think that's the big thing for me. Is it is the setting. I know we gotta run through this one, so I'm gonna take the easy way here. Just pick the home team again. I picked Kentucky to beat Tennessee. We saw how that turned out. I'll pick Tennessee here, but I think again we're splitting hairs. I mean, it's Auburn fans, we love you. Tennessee fans, we love you. But it's just these are 2 of the biggest games we've had all season in the SEC. Is Kentucky, Arkansas, Auburn, Tennessee. You're talking about 4 teams, the 4 best teams in the league, playing each other, and I don't know if there's a lot of difference between these 4 right now.
I think this is the most meaningful game in the league because I think this one affect if Auburn loses, it might drop down to a 2 for the time being with the chance to earn it back. Tennessee, I think, if Tennessee can I think Tennessee's got a shot at getting a 2, and getting this one would be a big step. I mean, I think Kentucky, Arkansas, a big game. I think the stakes are just much lower than that. So to me, this is the one, like, with all apologies to that one, which it'll be great and a great atmosphere in Fayetteville. If you have to watch one game, this is the one I'm watching.
Yeah, gosh. Who are you picking? I haven't turned this back to you.
I like history. I feel Auburn.
I know. See, that's what I keep thinking about.
I know. That and the big man factor. I just think that it's And I mean, okay, well, 2 different things. Okay, you got the number if it's around 3, and then you got straight up. So maybe you split the difference here.
I don't love like. Can I change my? Can we do this again on Saturday morning and see where I stand on this? Let's do that. Let's both just take a different one, and that way one of us is going to be right, unless the referees win for the first time ever.
Right.
So unprecedented result, but yes, Bruce is on Tennessee, and that I kind of want to lean back in that direction. I know we don't have time to do that, so I'm just going to flip flop back and forth. Tell us in the comments, who do you think is going to win this game? I have a feeling I know what Tennessee fans think. I have a feeling I know what Auburn fans think. But let us know your reasoning. Give us your reasoning. That's what we want to hear. So we appreciate it. Yeah. You're better than us.
Right. And well, never mind. I won't go there today. Okay, South Carolina going to Alabama. This one tips off at 6 Eastern, which will be 5 in Central Time. And
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point there. That's analysis.
We really add value with that. Alabama about a 10-point favorite on KenPom. Frankly, that's a lot of points right now the way Carolina's playing. I don't think Carolina wins, but this doesn't feel like Alabama by double digits. Though the minute I say that, that's when Alabama wins one by 20 because that's just what this team has been.
Yeah, but South Carolina plays defense, and that's
and
they're the better defensive team here and turns you over. And yeah, I would take South Carolina plus 10 if that's winds up being that case. I'm going to pick Alabama to win because the home factor again. What do you know? Blake's picking a home team. But yeah, Alabama's just, we've said it. There's no reason to keep going into it. They're just, you don't know what you're going to get. I think South Carolina's the kind of team defensively that can really cause some issues there for them, especially with the turnovers. They just have some careless turnovers at times. And, what does Alabama do defensively? That's what it comes down to for me. I picked Alabama to win, but I think 10 points a lot for a game like this. So,
okay, Missouri going to LSU, 7:30 Central.
Yeah, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I am. Okay, this is just a great job by me today with times and lots of things. Okay, Missouri going to LSU. I can't even blame the dog today. LSU true. A 15-point favorite, 7:30 Central tip-off. 15 seems like a lot given how competitive Missouri has been, but I don't think LSU's dropping a game in that building.
No, they can't. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to fall out of the tournament, but they can't really afford to lose this one. And I just don't think Missouri, as we said, on the road has not been great, and we kind of know what to expect now. LSU, hurts to lose the game in Kentucky because you had your chances and you felt like you were in a good spot to steal that game without the starting backcourt there. But I think they come back with a vengeance here. And quite honestly, I worry about Missouri scoring 50 something in this one. This feels like one of those games where if LSU just locks down on defense, they may just completely run away with this thing, and it may not be scoring 100 points. It may be more of a 70 to 40 something type game, and that's the kind of scenario I worry about for Missouri here, just based on how LSU can play defense. So yeah, I'm gonna pick LSU in this one, and I think it could be a convincing victory. So if it's 15-14, something like that, I think LSU is nice bounce back spot, I think, for them.
Tell folks about our partnership with Action 24/7.
Yeah, description below. Click on that link. South 14 is the code. And if you want to bet on any of these games, I'm sure we really gave you a confident opinion on those two big games. Although, like I said, it's so hard. These four teams are so good.
Okay, and quick confidence level, where you feel confident, where you don't.
All right. Most confident pick is going to be LSU. Number 2.
This is straight up, right?
Yeah. LSU would be 1. Florida would be 2.
Boy, from there. Alabama.
Yuck. No, I don't know. I wouldn't put that as high, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I would put
Arkansas. Well, okay, let's look at who you've got on the board. You've got Kentucky, Arkansas, Auburn,
how about
LSU,
this?
Vandy State.
Let's do it this way. Of the two big games, which one do you think you're more confident in? Arkansas, Kentucky.
I'm more confident in Arkansas winning, I think, but not by a lot.
I think that's where I'm at. But again, that is with the caveat of Washington and Wheeler not playing, which is my assumption at this point. I have no inside information, but that is what I'm assuming. So if that's the case, that is the better pick. Tennessee and Auburn, it's a toss-up, which you probably heard that in my voice while talking about the game. So, I that one to me is just, it's going to be fascinating. So we'll see if Bruce can continue the streak there. So.
Yeah, then I think I'd go Alabama, Mississippi State, Ole Miss.
I gotta say, Ole Miss A&M's last for me. I have no idea.
Just flip a
that
coin.
130 Pacific tip. I have no clues on those. So you never know about those 130 Pacific ones.
Yeah, right. All right. Thanks for watching. Next time I'll get the times right, maybe. And we'll have some baseball stuff coming, and we'll see you guys next week.